Welcome. It is the final day of the championship season on the 8th of May. That is a Monday because we've got a bank holiday because of the coronation. But it is Burnley who have been crowned champions of the championship. They'll be back in the Premier League, as will Sheffield United next season. So well done to them. There was a time, wasn't there, where Wigan, when Maloney came in, it looked like they were going to do it, but they just couldn't score. They were keeping clean sheets, getting a few 0-0s here and there, but ultimately if you don't score, and I think the same is kind of true of Blackpool, you can see for Wigan they're just 38 goals scored, quite a way off, even a way off Blackpool, who have got 9 more goals than them. For Blackpool, I think Critchley leaving just before the season started, it's hard to come back from that. Appleton wasn't a fan favourite, shall we say. I'll just take you to the top of the table. Burnley, obviously, they've done the business. 2 draws and a defeat in the last 5, potentially a bit of a hangover, quite literally, probably, from gaining promotion and being confirmed as champions. Sheffield United, 88 points is a superb return. Any other season, they are champions by some way as well, you would think. Now, it's the final couple of playoff spots that are up for grabs, and I'll just run you through some of the permutations. So, Coventry, they need to avoid defeat against Middlesbrough, and if they lose, they need one of Middlesbrough and Sunderland not to win, basically. West Brom can also catch them, but they would need a goal swing of 5. Millwall need to beat Blackburn. They've been in decent form, got an important win against Blackpool at Blackpool recently. I think that was the game that made Blackpool officially be relegated. If they draw Millwall, they will need Sunderland and West Brom both not to win. Sunderland need to beat Preston. Sunderland, I think they're unbeaten in 8. Preston lost 3 of the last 4 home games. So my pick to get in there, regardless of who else gets in there, I think Sunderland can do it. Sunderland need to beat Preston, as we say, and hope Coventry lose or Millwall fails to win. So for West Brom to get in there, who are 8th, as you can see, West Brom need to beat Swansea and hope Millwall and Sunderland fail to win. They could catch Coventry or overtake Sunderland, but need a bit of a goal swing as well. So Blackburn finally need to beat Millwall and hope Sunderland and West Brom fail to win. So with those permutations, let's take a look at the fixtures. So Millwall against Blackburn. I'll just dive into the recent form of the games that matter in terms of the playoff race. So for Millwall, as I said, that win at Blackpool was really important. Such an important game for Blackpool as well, obviously, because they knew if they lost, they were down. And for Millwall, yeah, it keeps them in there, and it's in their hands. Blackburn, they've not timed it well, have they? Sometimes you see teams like Sunderland, there's a feel-good factor around there, heading in the right direction. Whereas Blackburn, they've not won in quite a while. They are not scoring more than 1 goal. That's the problem. They're just not scoring more than 1 goal in the last 5 games, and a few draws in there. And as I said before, Blackburn must win. They must do something that they've not done since 15th of March. Coventry need to avoid defeat in this game. And Middlesbrough, it's interesting, isn't it? Once a team knows they're in the playoffs, do they start resting players? You don't want to fully wind down because you've got the playoffs to come. So it'll be interesting to see how Michael Carrick's handling that, regardless of how he's handling it. They've lost the last 2 games coming into this. So, and Coventry, what a job Mark Robins is doing. What a team. And what a player they've got in Gyökeres up top. They've lost once since the 3rd of February, and that was away at West Brom. That would have been just when West Brom had been taken over by the new coach, and they were unbeaten for a while. They're a really good team, Coventry, and I think they could just try and get a draw here. If you look at their away form, they're very good on the road. So I think Coventry is probably one of the teams I would definitely put in there in terms of getting into the playoffs after these games have concluded. So Sunderland need to beat Preston, and again, Preston not got much to play for. They probably would have hoped for a bit of a playoff push. If you remember at the start of the season, Preston were not conceding goals, and they were unbeaten for a while. But of course, it kind of just fell away. More defeats started coming in. They started conceding more goals. And in the last 4 games, they've conceded 4-1, 4-2. So they're not in the best of form. And at home, it is a bit better, to be honest. In fact, it's much better for Preston's. I'm sure Sunderland will be aware of that. But away from home, Sunderland doing very well. And in general, Sunderland doing very well. They've come into form at the right time. A few too many draws, they will think. They could have been in the playoffs, really. Which was the game? I think it was that Hull game. 4-4 penalty in the final minute, was it, for Hull? After they, got a win. That was a really good game, actually. But it's those ones that you might look back at if you don't make the cut, if you don't get into the playoffs. So I think Sunderland will do it. I don't know what that means for other results, but I think I think Sunderland and Coventry would be my two picks to get in there. And if we could look at the league table again, so you've got Luton, Middlesbrough, Coventry, Millwall at the minute. If Sunderland were to get in there, and if they could set up a tie, be that in the semi-final or the final at Wembley, Middlesbrough versus Sunderland, all those fans making their way down to Wembley at the same time, probably same trains, that would be quite the spectacle, I think, and what a final that would be as well. Rob Edwards at Luton, what a job he has done, and it kind of drives home how broken Watford might be, or the squad, or whatever the issues are there with how they manage managers. Because clearly, Rob Edwards is a good coach. He was doing very well in the lower leagues, wasn't he, which got him the job. And he obviously got sacked from Watford, and now he's at Luton. And look at this. I mean, 2 defeats this year to West Brom and Burnley. No shame in that. They're a small club. I would love to see them go up. That would be a crazy good story, wouldn't it? Just given how small a club they are and how quickly they've risen. Because you see the pictures of the stadium, it's not ready for Premier League. It would require some serious maintenance. This is the entrance, so it would be a fairy tale story if they could get up. And Luton, yeah, they've done some great. I like the sort of players that they bring in, really. And Rob Edwards, I think he's a good fit there, really good fit, maybe a better fit than he was at Watford, to be honest. It feels like you could have Pep at Watford and stuff still might not go to plan. And Hull City, they're safe, and to be saying that now, what a job Liam Rosenior has done, seriously. Blackpool were in talks with him, and we didn't get him. I think that was before McCarthy. And I wish we did, because he has shored them up. He has made them defensively solid, hard to beat. And if you were watching Hull at the start of the season, I mean, you can see the form change. Saying that Hull are a defensively solid team at the start of the season, people would be laughing at you, because, I mean, they obviously just weren't. But he's come in and he's, mid-season, it's not easy to do that. And he's, same players and getting results. I mean, look at the clean sheets that they're keeping at the minute. Away from home, not so good results-wise. But at home, especially if you want to stay up, you've got to just make sure your home form is solid, and that's what he's done. So this one, with two teams, we've not much to play for. It could be a bit of a fun game, could be a bit of a boring affair, to be honest. You never know how these ones go. If players get games because it's going to be their last game, or the teams are heavily rotated, you could see goals. Let's do a prediction on this one, shall we? See what the probability model thinks. We'll generate a prediction. 2-1 to Luton, so out of the 5,000 games, 62% ended in a Luton win. But of course, take into account that it's final game of the season, and that both of these teams have nothing but pride to play for. So that's a little bit of a preview on the playoff race. Who do you think will get into those final 2 spots? Who do you want to see in the final? Who do you want to see go up? Who do you think will go up? I always felt that the playoffs are quite cruel, because you could have a team that's been third quite often. You have a team that's been third all year, and they don't go up. When Blackpool went up, we were 6th, and if you come into the playoffs in decent form, needing points and getting points, a bit like Sunderland at the minute, a bit like Coventry at the minute, Middlesbrough, they've dropped a little bit, but it's psychology as well. Once you know that you're safe in there, you kind of drop off, even if subconsciously. So interesting to see what happens. Of course, the Championship is such a fun league. Once these games have concluded, you'll be able to buy a season ticket for Odd Alerts again as well. So the season ticket emulates real life season tickets, so you can buy it during the summer, and you get to test new features and get access to exclusive Discord rooms as well. That's a new feature that I'm launching for this next year. You'll get benefits on the new predictions game as well, and you'll get to test something that is launching very soon, which is part of a new front page for Odd Alerts, which is going to be based around automated alerts, and it's going to use AI as well. Excited to launch that. So as always, enjoy, and I look forward to your feedback.